Hey everybody, Mr. On Demand, man with the master plan. I'm going to talk to you about something pretty serious today, and it's about backups. We all need to have our stuff backed up. Now, there's a couple of rules that you should go by. If your stuff isn't backed up at least 3 times, if it's not in at least 3 locations, then it's not sufficiently backed up. Which means, you know, backed up locally on your PC, on your computer, on your phone, whatever device you're using, backed up on your in the cloud, and then backed up in another source like an external hard drive, a USB flash drive, etc., etc. Your data should be in these 3 locations, and you should have it backed up 3 times. More the better, at least 3 times if you want it properly backed up. Let's talk about why you want to do that, because this article goes over an engineer that lost 10 years of work. Well, he didn't really lose it. Basically, Amazon kind of messed up, and he did finally get the data back, but it took 20 days of work contacting support and talking to people before he was able to get it back. Think of that. Think of how much frustrating work that was. All of this documentation that he had, and all of this work that he was working on, that all of a sudden just ended up being lost. And he wasn't sure if he was ever going to get it back. The restless nights, the sheer anguish that you'd be going through, like, a decade of your life. Yeah, not fun stuff. But let's talk about some other things too. Um, so, cloud storage is extremely convenient, but it doesn't come without some risks. Now, a software engineer and self proclaimed open source enthusiast is claiming to have lost 10 years worth of data saved on Amazon's web service cloud. I wouldn't even blame Amazon for this, because honestly, this guy, if he's, an open source enthusiast or whatever, if he's kind of techie because he's saving stuff on a cloud, he should know better. First of all, you don't work on stuff from the cloud. First of all, the stuff should be worked on locally on your machine that you're on. What if, for instance, the internet is down? You can't access the cloud. You won't be able to access your data. Whether it's your personal family pictures, or whether it's your videos or photos, or whether it's your own apps that you've worked on, or a book that you wrote, it's all of that data can be backed up locally, which it should, and you should be working on it locally. It shouldn't be worked on over the cloud. I've had this same issue with customers using OneDrive. Saves all their stuff on their desktop. Their stuff isn't saved on their desktop. It's not locally, though. It's on OneDrive, and you can't access it unless you can get into OneDrive. So then that becomes a problem, and the stuff isn't no longer actually on their desktop. But so when AWS deleted my account, he says, they didn't just hurt me, they hurt every developer who uses my gems, every student who could have learned from those tutorials, every future contribution that won't happen because my workflow is destroyed. That's a good way of putting it. I mean, honestly. So if you didn't want that to happen, then you should have had your work backed up. I mean, honestly, he explains why this wasn't a regular data loss, and that the tools and suggestions provided by AWS should have been safeguards. Uh, he said he did the safeguards, segregated encryption keys, he had a dead man switch. It's like, dude, where else was your data? Was it only on the cloud? Then you didn't have a backup if it was only there. It should have been locally on your own hard drives and your own stuff. That's just being lazy. I'm sorry, it's a little bit of work to do the backups, but the alternative is, if something does happen, you lose everything. So don't go down that path. It all began in a simple verification request that expired before he could respond. The next form arrived and required ID and a copy of a utility bill. which he sent in. AWS claimed the document was unreadable. The next day, his account was terminated. Right? So the trail didn't end there. He attempted to find out if the data was still in existence. And obviously, he went on and on and on until he finally was able to get the data back. Amazon Web Services, yeah. Having news that the cloud storage service is deleting users' data isn't something that AWS wants. In response to the original reporting at Tom's Hardware, AWS spokesperson reached out to offer a statement. We always strive to work with customers to resolve account issues and provide advanced warning of the potential account suspension. The account was suspended as part of AWS standard security protocols for accounts that fail the required verification. And it is incorrect to claim this was because of a system error or accident. Listen, if that's true what he said about sending in the stuff and the stuff they couldn't read it or whatever, that should have just been not a complete account deletion, but just, block the account until he can verify who he is or whatever they need to do for security. So that's not good either. But hey, you guys, if you've followed my channel very much, you kind of know my opinion on Amazon. They're not a very good company. They do a lot of real shady stuff, right? So I've definitely put part of the blame on Amazon, but you definitely have to have your own backups. And this is why. This is no doubt in response to his claims that AWS Insider had reached out shortly after the blog post began circulating publicly. The Insider suggested that the second stands for Middle East and North Africa was running some kind of proof of concept on dormant and low activity accounts. It wasn't just his account that was affected. It gets technical from this point on, but it basically boils down to the assumption that AWS developer typed the wrong command and ended up deleting accounts that were still very much in use. There's got to be some safeguards against accounts just being deleted, right? Got to be a certain amount of time, got to be some, multiple attempts to reach out over a period of 3-6 months or more. I mean, because data is so important. I mean, it's one of the most important things in our lives. Everything is on the internet now with pictures and music and our videos and all of our work and our documents. So it's a sad thing. But another sober reminder that cloud storage is not as safe as you think it is, right? Let's take a look at the conversation down here. Oh, this is why you always should back up your data locally. Like I told you guys, you should have your own hard drive with the data on that hard drive that is the drive you're actually currently working off the data with. And then it gets backed up on a schedule to some kind of cloud backup, as well as you backing it up to a USB hard drive or flash drive of some kind. And servers use a RAID setup that doesn't mirror backup as well. That's not always perfect though, because if something gets messed up, it gets messed up on both ends because it's real time too. So that can be an issue as well. Cloud storage always has been and always will be inferior. No subscription service either. Just get a bunch of hard drives, create multiple backups, and never worry about your data again. I like that. I like that reply. That's exactly something like I would said. Just like precious metals, if you can't hold it in your hands, you don't really have it. That's actually very, very good as well. So yeah, just more of the same type of putting all their eggs in one basket, more of the same type of stuff that I'm going over with you. But I don't think that this message can be harped on to the public, any less. Everybody needs to hear this and hear it over and over and over again. It needs to be grinded into your brain. back up your stuff, or you're going to eventually lose it. That's basically it. Well, if this information was helpful to you, let me know down below in the comments. Leave me a thumbs up. I'm going to do some videos on what I recommend and what I use for my personal backups, which I've already done some videos on some of that stuff on my channel. And I'm going to let you know the best ways to back up your operating system, to back up your hard drives, to do mirror backups, etc., so that you guys can all keep your data safe and keep your data backed up. I'll see you guys in the next video. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Catch you all later.